God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
All right, Ryan.
Good to see you.
Man, likewise, bro.
We've been walking this trail for a while.
Yeah, we have, bro.
Yeah, got to know your family, got to know you, and know some of your history, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. You know, and you're honestly, I think the first face I seen when I stepped into the rooms. You know, I had drug court at the time, and they force you to go to like 3 or 5 meetings a week, you know. And I remember when I walked in there, you're like, "You got a big book?" I'm like, "No, I got a Bible."
Nothing wrong with that.
Right, nothing wrong with that.
But
yeah.
it wasn't what was going to keep you sober at that time, you know.
Right.
It was the program that we were doing required that big book, and that's a role I play a lot. Like I bought so many big books.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of that. You
Yeah.
know? I love to do it.
Yeah.
It'd be that first experience, you know. I remember that too. Was it the candlelight that you went to first, or did I invite you to that?
That's actually the first meeting. That's one of the only meetings I still go to because of my work schedule. But it was the candlelight, and dude, the places that candlelight. I mean, it's in the same room. You know, actually, it's in a different room
It is
now.
in a different room. Same
but-
sticky table.
But the things that I hear and that is something about lowering the lights, man. And it just gets real in there, dude.
So
Like, I don't know what it is.
I know what it is.
What is it?
Dopamine. So what happens is you start to go into like a really sleepy state.
Yeah.
And that's that state where you want to get to, where you can really share without there's no guard.
Right.
You're unguarded.
All the walls are down.
All the walls are down.
And you hear like some of the most vulnerable stuff.
Yeah,
man.
that's why romantic settings a lot of times will be
Right,
very, very
right.
dark, right?
And there's some candles.
Because it's vulnerable, it's okay, you could be yourself, maybe nobody, you know, and that's kind of the setting.
The gist of it,
is
yeah.
kind of like, okay, cool, I'm safe. I'm in a, you know, down in a
Right.
in a spot where I feel okay.
Exactly. And there's only like a few people in there, you know, I mean, 15, maybe. What's the capacity in that little room? 20 people. The most I've ever seen was maybe like 17 people in that. So it's also like the amount of people that are in there too. It's like you can kind of get to know a few people.
Yeah.
While you're you know, while you're sitting down, you're shaking hands, like, and that right there, you know, automatically you know, it's like quality.
Yeah.
It's quality time because it's, you know, it's not that many people in there.
So kind of letting the audience in on what we're talking about is there's a candlelight meeting where we talk about recovery, and what we do is we turn off all the fluorescent lights, and it's just these little blinky lights from the 99-cent store, but it just
Yeah,
gets spiritual,
Yeah, fake candles.
and people feel like they can open up, and it's around you know, just how is your recovery today? A lot of times was a topic.
I think it's every other week. 1 week it's what do you do for your recovery, and then they pick something out of the big book literature.
Yeah, this is it.
But usually when someone picks something, it's a real spiritual topic. You
A lot
know,
of people feel
higher,
safe.
right,
They come out with all their stuff they've been suffering from.
right. And yeah, you know, I met a few people in there recently. I actually want to bring one of them on. You know, he's on the schedule to come on and be interviewed by me as well. But, you know, just the people that are in there now and sticking around, man. I mean, we're over here glorifying this meeting, but it's true. Like, I honestly don't want to flood the meeting. Like, we're throwing out pearls right now. Like, this is like a gem, an absolute gem in the AA community. I wish they had more candlelights. I'm about to see what we can do about maybe starting another candlelight somewhere else. Or did they already do that elsewhere? Do you know?
Sure, they do. They have one at the Fifth Street Fellowship in Roseville.
Okay.
And it's called Last Call. And it used to be back in the day, they wouldn't close it down until everybody shared. So it'd go to 2 a.m.
Right.
But now it's only an hour. And they actually have real candles.
They go till 2. So they go past
They
time?
would back in the day.
Oh,
and when
okay,
they
yeah,
still
right.
allowed like smoking in stores and everything, people would just, you know, be up thinking about crap, and they'd just go to this meeting and just sit down and just chain smoke. And it was, you know, it was classic.
Right. Classic.
Yeah. Yeah,
Let's
right.
talk about recovery.
Right. It would, they're acting like complete addicts at a AA meeting.
Right.
But they're safe and they're not drinking.
Right.
So
True
that's
that.
really the heart of it, right? And
Yeah.
and there's an opportunity for them to experience God there
Right.
at the same time.
That's a big one. Yeah.
You know, whether it's over a cup of coffee or wherever you are, if you're experiencing God, then that's going to be significant.
Yeah, that's
You know?
that's most people come into the rooms, really atheist, agnostic, and a lot, and the steps. If you truly do those steps from the bottom of your heart, man, you just kind of pour your soul and your heart out into it. You're gonna encounter God. You're gonna encounter the higher power that wants to help you, the Creator, the all loving. You know what I mean? That's what you end up, whether you know it or not. It's most, in my opinion, or from what I understand, it's the God of the Bible. But most people don't take it as such. But it's okay. You know what I mean? It's a process, and I know people that don't even consider God at all in the rooms. They're still struggling with step 2. But I see Christ in like what they do. They're being of service.
Absolutely.
They're cleaning up the tables. They're stacking the chairs. They're asking the person that stinks, that comes into the room, that looks like he's really struggling, like, hey, man, like, can I get you a meal? Like, you're doing all these Christ-like things, man.
Yeah.
And I see Christ in the rooms. I really do.
So one of the things that I found when I was able to become sober, which means of a consciousness that was aligned with my higher power's will,
Yeah.
because I can not drink and be a heathen, like crazy man,
Right.
Like I can go around hurting people and be like, well, I didn't drink today.
Yeah, sober. Right.
Right. But I flipped off all these people on the freeway, right? Like I left a wreckage down the highway with my behavior behind the wheel, like that kind of stuff. Like, is that really sober, or are you just not drinking, right?
Right.
So I found out in the text that we use to recover, and I'm trying to follow the traditions and be really respectful of, I'm not representing Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm representing myself and my opinions.
Yeah.
But all of it is really influenced greatly by the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. A lot of respect. And it actually was the place I was led to God. I was raised Christian, and I was a heathen because I could not abide by that high standard.
Right.
And then I found out that actually I was more interested in following Christ's example, and it was portrayed there in Alcoholics Anonymous.
Yeah.
And I was interested in doing that, and I found out what the secret ingredient was.
What is it?
You want to know what the secret
Yeah, you got
ingredient?
the
Okay,
keys?
I'll
All
tell
right.
you a story about this secret ingredient.
Run it. Let's do it.
It's not a secret. They put it down on the pages.
Amen.
So I'm like 3 years in, and I can't stay sober. I get the thought of needing to pick up. I'm an addict and an alcoholic, so
Yeah.
the alcoholism went away. I haven't had a drink since 2004, and it morphed into a meth addiction.
Yeah.
And at that time, I was struggling. I had money, I had a car, I was living in a house with nobody there, and I really felt alone in the world. And I was trying to recover. I'd get like 30 days, 40 days, 2 weeks, and it was a struggle because only thing that I really was accountable to was my own mind. And I was sick, really sick. And so being sick, I wanted to like date girls, and like I had this social opportunity that I had never had before. So I'm like going around this new environment, stepping on everyone's toes. Everybody's like, "What are you doing here, dude? You're still getting loaded. Why don't you just go finish up?" And I came across all these different characters who were sick like me, but staying sober, right? And I was like, damn, what's it going to take for me to get what they got? And I really didn't want what they had as who they were.
Right.
I just wanted the parts that were going to work for me. And then I wanted to leave.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I really wanted to do.
Right. Take it all. Take the bag and go. Yeah.
Yes.
That's kind of
behavior.
Yes. That's
I want to take what I want.
smash and grab.
And you guys go ahead with whatever's left.
Right.
Right? That's typical. So then I was sitting in a meeting, and I was dating this girl, and we was going rough because I have still have behavior. And so we're breaking up, getting back together, and her sponsor's having to listen to all this crap, right?
Right.
I'm sitting in a meeting out in Rockland, and I'm reading this passage, and it says, when we took such a position, all sorts of remarkable things happen, right?
Yeah.
And somebody from the back of the room says, you didn't read it right. I'm like irritated because I'm pretty sure I could read. And I had missed a word. She shouts out, when you sincerely take such a position. I had lacked sincerity,
Yeah.
the commitment to, in my whole life, in my Christianity, in my willingness to see Christ for what he was, in my relationship with my mother. It was the secret ingredient. When I was fully committed, when I decided that I was going to try to follow the principles to the best of my ability and to work that program, and I was going to do it probably for the rest of my life, as far as I knew anyways, that was my intention.
Yeah.
Once that intention was set and sincerity was achieved, I was able to stay sober.
Right.
Changed everything. It turned me from a talker to a listener.
Right.
It turned me from somebody who was interested in getting something to somebody who was interested in giving something.
Yeah, giving it.
And it was amazing. It was an immediate effect.
Right.
So she shouts this out from the back of the room. I don't even like this lady. And something changes.
Right.
So a lot of times we're like, oh man, I want to go see this person because of their message. This is who I want to listen to, right?
Right.
Well, maybe that's not who you need to listen to.
Right.
So I've been taught a lot of things through my interaction with people that this lady is crazy as heck. She was the one who brought me to what I was missing, right? And she wasn't a spiritual giant or anything like that. She was just another face in the crowd. Guess what that does? Makes us all available to be that person.
No.
But we need to be there in sincerity and be in the crowd and care enough to, when we hear something that's unaligned, to say something.
Yeah.
Right? And I miss that mark sometimes. But when it comes to me, I'm convicted and I feel like, hey, this is what I'm, like coming to this interview today, it was like, hey, this is something I want you to do. Okay. I don't know how it's going to go. I've got fear.
Right.
I've got expectations.
Yeah.
How do I navigate this without stepping on toes? I don't want to be disloyal to this sobriety thing, in Alcoholics Anonymous.
Yeah.
So I want to respect their traditions. So what's that about? So I called people and we talked about what this might be like. And because I wanted to make sure to be respectful, for one, to the people putting it on, and then for two, to anybody who's listening, really.
Yeah.
And don't want them to have an ill effect from it. I want it to be whatever God wants it to be.
Well, to me, it sounds like you're just playing the tape through. You know what I mean? It's kind of what we do in sobriety.
Yeah.
It's like instilled in you. Like I wanna go through this before it happens. Like
Absolutely.
that's what keeps me from falling, brother. What you just said, I'm kind of linking these two things together. But like what I do now is literally I comprehend. I make the phone calls. I got Brother Blaine and I got this group around me. You're one of the brothers that I would call if I'm really struggling and about to pick up a bottle or a needle or whatever the case may be, or a blunt.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's what we have to do. You have to stay tapped in. Like you're mentioning, you're going through this checklist and you're talking to the right people. You're not calling the dope man.
I'm not.
for anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like for no reason do we call the wrong people anymore. And in my early recovery, I just remember like, I'd take a couple shots or whatever, I'd mess up and take some shots, and I'm calling all of a sudden just the worst people.
Yep.
The worst crowd,
A misalignment. Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know. It's a profound blessing to see where you're at today,
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
it's blowing my mind.
Right. Like I ran into, Brother Ryan here at the Walmart, and I just see his face glowing.
Yeah.
And he's just all happy, and
I live like that now.
right.
Yeah.
You're really about it. You don't have to like, It's not a fluke. It's not a front. It's not a mask. And you're like really open to just being of service too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that's like you said, man, you had that change happen, and it's just evident. Like it almost happened in an instant. And, you know, it takes some, you know, longer than others to, you know, it takes longer for some than others to figure that out finally. But bro, you know,
to me, if you're not living in a place where that really makes it satisfying, and that really you're experiencing spiritual experience on a lot, it seems like you might be missing the point. Maybe that is the point of life, is to continually understand that this is going to pass and that we're headed in a different direction afterwards, right? Isn't that what we went to the bottle and bag for? I mean, really.
right.
I mean, I went to the bottle and bag to escape this life. And now I'm doing the same thing with my recovery, really.
Right.
It's not that different.
Yeah.
It's not. It's still the, exploring, having epiphanies. Remember when you get loaded and you just get mind blown? Boom!
Yeah.
Whoa!
Yeah.
That's what you did it for.
Bro,
And I'm having those experiences in recovery.
you're tapping into the source, bro.
Yeah, and I
That's what it
continually am wrong. It's
Right.
You know how when you're messed up, you do a bunch of stuff wrong?
Wrong.
Well, now I'm doing a bunch of stuff wrong in recovery and enjoying it.
Right.
Dang, I was wrong again. Right
Yeah.
on. I was super grateful that I was wrong about that guy, because I would have told him he was this and that, and I would have made a fool out of myself again. And here I am going, you know what? He's a decent dude. I
Right.
was wrong again.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to make the mistakes I would have made in the past.
Yeah. I noticed these like wrongs in recovery though are like good wrongs.
Yes.
Because for one, you promptly admitted it
Yes.
that you're wrong. It comes in with
Well,
that daily.
I don't know how prompt you are.
Hey,
Hey, I'm making an amends to a girl, and it's been like a year and a half. I'm like, I was wrong. My sponsor had to point it out. He's like, yeah, dude, you shouldn't behave like
you're
that.
probably wrong.
Yeah, I'm like, what? Epiphany, dude. I'm like, all's fair in love and war. I thought, people were gonna get hurt if you're in a relationship. He's
Yeah.
like, no, you're wrong. I'm like, okay.
That's a hard one. And
Yeah.
as an addict, especially admitting that you're wrong, dude, it's just unnatural.
Yeah, but I'm grateful for it.
Right.
I'm grateful for it now.
That you're able to
Whereas
deviate.
before, I would have to get another bottle or bag in order to get away from what I did wrong.
100%.
Now it's like, dude, okay, cool. Thank you, God. And it provides me that humility that keeps me connected,
Right.
and that's something I really struggle with in the past, is being judged for being wrong.
Yeah.
And that would kind
Me
of
too.
drive me away from uniting with other people,
From people. Yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't want them to know.
The judging.
Yeah. We were just talking a few minutes ago about when you came to AA, your biggest, or recovery, your biggest asset at that time was pride, right?
Right. Pride. Yeah.
So tell me.
All I knew was that gangster, dog.
Right.
Whether it was fake or real, bro. That's all I knew. I couldn't get it out of me. Like I came in the rooms talking about selling dope and carrying a gun
I
and
remember.
leather jacket, right? Leather
Yeah.
jacket, Gucci belt. Like I was still the same person.
Yes.
And you know where that led me? I fell again.
Right.
And you're actually my first sponsor. I think
Yep.
if it was you, then Keith. And
Then me, then Keith. Then me, then Keith.
yeah, I jumped around, Keith, which
I don't
R.I.P.
care.
Keith,
It's your foundation.
right?
Happy to be there.
Yeah, exactly. But you were one of the guys that was really literally down to read the literature, talk about our problems, and that's honestly the last thing I wanted to do as an addict, especially at the time.
I
It's like,
remember.
I'm freaking talk about you about what now? You're asking me what? To do what? Write on paper? Like,
Yep.
Are you freaking crazy? Write the 4-step on a paper?
Dude, you were so funny. When you were reading the book, you'd be like, any reason to cut up, you would try and find it, You read this one thing, Dr. Fosdick or something, and you thought it was so funny, dude. Harry Fosdick.
I would butcher.
Dude,
I would butcher it.
Try to detract from what we were trying to do because
Yeah.
you were, you didn't understand at that time,
Yeah.
and now it's like when we come in, we don't understand what we're doing, and we're investing our time and energy, right?
Mhm.
And so it was funny, dude. It was funny to watch.
Yeah.
I was like, this kid, dude.
It's that addict in me, dude. Like,
We were sitting outside of McDonald Park over in Citrus Heights,
yeah.
and we're reading, in my
Yep.
old Chevy. And you're just like, oh my God, I
I
can't
don't
believe
even want to be
I
here.
can't believe you're making me read. We're supposed to be hanging out.
Right. I just wanted to kick it.
So that back in the day, dude, when we used to kick it, early sobriety for both of us, really, you had burned a car. You want to tell us about that? That was so funny.
Yeah, so I started to get things back.
Yep.
Like I was in drug court, and I kind of been proving to my family that I've been doing a little better. And my brother blessed me with his car, and
I remember.
I still kept a lot of ways that were just wrong. You know what this is freaking. This story is honestly pretty crazy.
It's a funny, good story.
Yeah, it is a good one. It's a lesson, you know what I mean? And that's why, I do want to actually talk about it. But, I'm rolling around in this G35. It's kind of sporty. I never had a car like that in my life. And I got money in my pocket. But you know what I was doing? All the wrong things. You know what I was doing that day? I was hitting every single Safeway, bro. Safeway to Safeway, Safeway to Safeway, bro. And I was just drinking the whole time. And then my girlfriend at the time, she ended up, pissing me off,
I remember.
And I got in an argument with her, and I drop her off at the apartment, and then I just speed off. 17, 18 beers deep, flying around corners, and I'm hitting corners, and then I take this left turn, and I hit the brake, and I feel one of the calipers pop loose. And I had someone literally change the brakes the night before, and there was a messed up screw in there. So if I wasn't driving it like that, it probably wouldn't have happened so quickly, but just no brakes, on the right side too. And I'm taking a left turn. So you really don't have any brakes then, you know what I mean? And yeah, right into a tree. And then
a bamboo patch.
Right. And then look, I hop out of the car, and I'm thinking to myself, I need to run, right? And I'm about to just start hitting fences, and then I turn around, this lady's out with her phone out. And she's like, "You were driving kind of crazy back there, weren't you? Karen," right?
You ended up knowing this lady's name?
No, it's just now they're called Karen. Just the way she talked to me and approached me, I'm like, yeah, she's a Karen. In hindsight,
yes.
But anyways, she's probably doing the right thing, right? I'm a freaking degenerate running around, and I probably could have killed somebody. Honestly, there was a lot of grace in that situation, but so I'm thinking I need to start my car now. So I hop in my car and I go to start it. And all of a sudden, I don't know, the fan or something sparked up some flames. And then the whole thing just, like, within 30 seconds, the whole car was up in flames.
That's crazy.
And I'm just sitting there looking at this car, and I'm just like, there's like $1,000 worth of freaking meat in the back seat. Shrimp, steak, lobster, crab, getting cooked, bro.
That is so classic.
Right. And it's like my world's falling apart. Like the tires go out, and then the fire department's breaking the windows, and I'm just like, that's it. The gig's up, bro. Like that's how I felt. Like I honestly felt like I was gonna get in a lot worse trouble than I did.
I know it.
It was a misdemeanor DUI. I luckily didn't get hurt or hurt anybody. But, as I'm getting locked, put in handcuffs, I'm like, hey, can you call my brother to have him pick up the steaks in the back of the seat? And he's like, yeah, sure, I will. And he actually takes down the number and everything, but they never called him, right?
Oh, they don't care.
And I'm like, look, guys, you guys can take this stuff. I just don't want all the meat that I bought, to go to waste, right? I go to jail. I get out. 2 days later, I go to the impound. Guess what's? This is one of the nastiest sights I've ever seen in my life. There was a dead body in the backseat. It smelled so bad.
My
there was
gosh.
maggots. I'm like, you guys seriously? I was yelling at the lady, the impound lady. I'm like, you guys seriously didn't take the 100 pounds of meat out of the backseat? What are you guys doing?
They're like, we don't care.
Like everybody else is the freaking problem at that point. I'm the idiot that brought it there. The only reason why it's there was because of me, my stupidity, my falling. And yeah, the funny part that you still mention today is, we met up a few days later, and you're like, yo, where's that fourth step? It burned down in the car.
So
the
this
fourth
is-
step was in the car, bro.
This is the experience from the other end. I don't know what he's doing. He's still crazy. He's supposed to be working on his 4th step. I told him to get to it, and it's been a week or two. And it's notorious in recovery if things start to degenerate if you don't get your 4th step going.
Yeah.
So what was happening to him was spot on, right?
Yeah.
If you need recovery and you're not doing it,
Yeah.
you light your car on fire.
Right. You know,
I get the call. He goes, "Hey, what's going on?" And he sounds, a little disgruntled. And I said, "What happened?" He goes, I crashed my car into a bamboo patch and it caught on fire. I just started busting out laughing. I was like, "Oh my goodness, God is working in your life, Frank." I'm like, "Oh my God, God loves this guy."
Right.
He burned his shit down, and he goes, I was like, "Oh, were you drinking?" He goes, "Yeah, I had 2 beers." I said, "Oh, 2 beers. That's not too bad. What were you doing?" "Oh, I was hanging out with my buddies." "Okay, cool." A week goes by. "So how many beers?" "It was 8 beers." "Oh, really?" Another week goes by. I was like 20 beers.
Yeah, you just lie through your teeth, bro.
Well,
and
it
anything
was-
to know the truth, bro.
Yeah, it was the skill set you had at the time.
That's it.
And it was funny. That's
all I knew.
But I did ask you. I was like, "So did you do that 4th step?" And you were like, "Oh yeah, that burned in the car."
It went up in smoke. My 4th step went up in smoke, literally. I mean,
I don't know if he's ever done one since, but
I'm
That
actually
was
on my 4th
hilarious.
step right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Good,
Yeah, I'm
good,
revisiting
man.
my 4th step, and it's a juicy one. You know, a lot of things happened since then and now, and as much as like I want to think that I have Christ's forgiveness dwelling in me and love,
yeah,
there's moments where I'm just like, dude, where's he at, dog?
yeah.
Where's the dude at? You know what I mean? Why? Why did you do that to me? Why you wrong me? Like acting like I'm freaking, I'm gonna do something about it. But then I catch myself, and that's that's why I do thank God that I have a relationship with him, because between then and now I've been swerving around a lot of stupid situations. A lot of things that could have either got me locked up or just another 4th step burning in the car. You know what I mean? Like, I'm literally able to like trot around these traps or just jump right over them like that.
So God kind of joins you, and you have the intuition.
Yeah. And
Okay.
it's being tapped in. Like, as soon as I mentioned this on the podcast before, like I hit my knees as soon as I wake up. I try to.
That's what I do.
Right. And like we can do that throughout the day, but I notice it's that way. It's what you're waking up to.
Your intention.
You know,
You're setting your intention.
Your intentions, you're kind of evaluating like in yourself and your thoughts. Like, did I wake up on the wrong side of the bed this morning? Because sometimes you don't realize that you did
No.
until
Not
way
until
later.
you have behavior.
Right.
And then you're like, "What is going on with me?"
Right. You don't really know what the day's gonna bring, and that's why I do tap in with God as best as I can from the very wake up of the morning. You know what I mean? Because I'm a say things and do things that are just not of Him. But the fact that I was prayed in the morning, it's like it makes that conviction in me stronger.
I want to kind of go back to something you talked about earlier.
Yeah.
You brought up the 4th step, and you were talking about sometimes you're really reaching for God. Where are you at with this, right? And you're wondering like, where are you, God, in this, right? And I've found myself over and over asking, and these are the these are the 3 places I really have a tough time finding God:
Yeah.
relationships,
Yeah.
used cars, and I forgot the last one, but those 2 areas especially. Like, I'm always like, "God, where you at? I need a good deal on a car. Like, who will you help me out?" And it always ends up being like, dude, you get what you give.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to be greedy and try to get over on somebody, you get what you give, and you end up with greed,
Yeah.
the results of greed, and somebody gets over on you. That's usually how it goes, right?
Yeah.
So now if you say, "Okay, God, where are you at in my 4th step?" Then you go, "Okay, what am I giving?" And in the same way that you give, you will receive.
Yeah.
And that's from God's mouth.
Right.
And-
you reap what you sow.
Right.
That's-
and so they talk about it in there's a parable of Jesus, and he's in the temple and he's watching everybody give their dues. and one guy comes in and he's got a troop with him and he's donating all this
Baller.
stuff.
Yeah.
And it was really glorious. Like
Yeah.
it was, it was a
The
big
man,
deal.
right? Everybody's watching.
And he's leaving and Jesus watched him, and he didn't say anything to the guy or tell him anything about it. He just watches, right? Just observes. And then a lady comes in with a couple of pennies and throws that in. And he asked his guys, hey, who gave more?
Hmm.
They're like, dude, that guy gave a pile.
Yeah, pile of cash.
And this lady gave 2 cents. Like, how are we going to even compare that?
Mm-hmm.
They're like, it wasn't the amount. It was the way, right?
Right.
So in what way are you preparing your fourth step?
Yeah.
It's not about the amount.
Yeah.
It's about why, the intention of doing it, right? Like, I'm giving because I want God to come in. I want that connection.
Yeah.
I'm not giving so that I can get recovery. I'm giving so that I can get God and get that essence that I want to be full of that makes me feel great,
Right.
that I've always longed for. That's really why we're doing this,
Right.
And when we go to do the fifth step, it's not about dumping somebody on some garbage on somebody else's property, right?
Right.
It's about, sincerely understanding that you can be different and to have that approach to like, yeah, I'm willing to give up all this stuff and not feel any guilt or shame about it anymore.
Yeah.
Deciding, you know what, I'm not embarrassed. I need to use discretion and not like be rude about all these things that happen. But I realized that that was only a misalignment with my higher power.
Yeah.
That's why those things happened, right?
Right.
So once again, the sincerity, the secret ingredient of it all,
Right.
comes into play to where, why am I doing it? Is it a chore? Everything's a chore if you don't want to do it.
Right.
I mean, yeah, so if you want to do it and your heart's there, or you can ask God, like, hey, will you help me to want to do it?
Right. No, for sure. I ask God to soften my heart all the time because a lot of the time I'm just have a hardened heart towards the situation.
Nobody wants to confess.
No.
I don't want to
Why?
give it up, right?
Like you want to just bury stuff.
Yes, that's
You know?
that's my natural inclination.
Yeah. With pleasures and just, just anything else but that.
That is my
Anything else but actual work. Look at it. Look at the world today. Nobody wants to work.
natural.
No, for real. Like, I can't find help. Like,
So
it's hard.
it is hard. I got a couple of boys, and when they were little, I got 3 boys. I'm very proud of, and me and their mother had different ideas of what it was to be growing up, and she thought, well, Little League, and it was awesome. We loved Little League, right?
Yeah.
Well, I reached this point where I was like, these kids aren't going to be able to make a living playing Little League. Like let's go ahead and give them some real life skills. So I taught them how to use a tape measure, how to use a level. Like if I'm coming with a big wheelbarrow of stuff, move. Like stuff people don't know nowadays. They don't. They'll step out into traffic with a cell phone on. I experience it all the time. I'm working down at a college, and these kids, they're just oblivious.
Yeah.
They're oblivious because they,
TikTok, dude. It's the TikTok brain.
It's a TikTok brain.
Yeah, it's syndrome, bro. And
So I taught my kids that kind of stuff, and dude, they're good workers. I'm proud of them.
man,
They understood that. Okay, so a lot of it has to do with parental behavior. Like, did you show them? And if you didn't, then here we are.
it's how you showed them too.
Yeah, it is.
You
how
know,
we
you
show them.
didn't anger your kids in the process. You didn't provoke them. Apostle Paul writes, "Do not provoke your children, but bring them up in the instruction of the Lord."
Absolutely.
And that's how it is. You come at it with humility.
I love that.
And right, I do too. I was actually reading that the other day, and it's like I was meditating on that. I'm like, dude, when I'm a father, I'm gonna do my best to take that right to the bank because, dude, that's a big one.
I love that.
So much wisdom, man.
It's so much. And it aligns perfectly with what they teach us in recovery.
Yeah,
They don't go and do things that they teach us the principles and how to live by it, right?
Yeah.
Which is what that Paul just said right there.
yeah,
That's so cool, dude.
yeah. It is a beautiful thing. But if you don't mind, let's take it back a little bit, man. A little
Okay.
bit of your background, where you're from, where you were born.
Well, I was born at an early age, and I wanted to stay near my mom because she had everything I wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just wanted to be in mommy's arms.
Yes. I was born at a very early age. I hear people say stuff like that.
Yeah,
Hey,
bro. It's like, come on.
so funny, dude.
Dry humor.
Yes.
It's like, chill out, bro.
Chill out.
I just want to know where
Yeah.
you were born.
I was born in Hawaii, and no, I
Hawaii.
did not know Obama.
I never
I've
seen
never
the guy.
seen that guy. Where was that
Nah,
guy?
he wasn't born there. Come
I
on.
don't know.
Yeah,
Anyways,
Hawaii, man.
Dude, it was cool. And so here's something interesting. If you would have asked me what my childhood was like 7 years ago, I would have told you a story that would have not served the people that loved me at all. I would have told you a selfish story about a kid who was
Victim.
Yeah, totally
Victim mentality. Yeah.
And so today I'll tell you a different story because it's closer to the truth. And I heard this from a guy named Sandy Beach. Love this guy. And he's no longer with us, but you can hear him on YouTube. And he said, you know what's weird is the longer I'm alive, the better my childhood gets.
Right.
And he's like, the longer I'm sober, the better my childhood looks.
Right.
And what happens is because we're not full of crap anymore. We've done so many 4 steps. We've gotten rid of that.
Right.
God could come in and be like, hey, look, I was really there.
You were there.
And so now I look back on my childhood and it was full of love. I went to a Christian school called Peniel Educational Ministries. And it was like a big family, dude.
Yeah.
And I always was rebellious and I would, try to do stuff. And I wasn't interested in school. And they were really patient with me and kind. They were very kind to me and my family. And I was a rascal, dude.
Yeah.
I was not interested in behavior.
Yeah.
Good behavior. I was interested in getting my way and getting away with stuff.
Yeah.
And dude, it was wonderful growing up over there. I grew up in a town called Waipahu. It's a Filipino town on one side, and on the other side of the town is Samoan.
Yeah.
Very interesting for a white boy. Yes.
Right. Yeah. So, when I went to Hawaii, like I got mean mugs, Holly Boy, like people try to flex on me, size up on me. Like, tell us a little bit about how that was for you. You're obviously, white skin color, and you're not Samoan, you're not Filipino. Like how did that go? Like, just curious. Like
you
any
lay low.
bullying or
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But how is that different than anywhere else?
Right.
So that's what I came to realize.
Yeah.
Is I came to realize that the personalities were the same as anywhere else. So they had a common interest. Okay, so I'm blonde hair, blue eyed, and would like to do them a little justice and talk about why it's like that over there.
Yeah.
So when the United States decided to go over there, we forced them, strong-armed them. They were very, in the beginning, they were very kind people and stuff, and they had their own stuff back in the day.
Right.
But they were accepting us coming over there, and then we strong-armed them for their land, right? We took our military, we imprisoned their queen.
Sounds like America. Yeah.
Yeah, and we told them, or else, right?
Right.
So there's a lot of bitterness and stuff.
Yeah.
And so then we put this economy on them where they have to go to work and stuff, where before it was like, farming communities and people and families were, getting along and they would do traditional stuff. And then we brought this economy, a whole different way of living.
Yeah.
It really caused a lot of, whenever you bring a new standard of what wealth is, you also bring along with it poverty.
Poverty. Yeah.
So because you got to have both. You're going to have people who have, and you're going to have people who have not. There's a lot of people who have not over there.
Yeah.
And so they're
Especially today,
looking for
yeah.
targets, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't personal that they had this old grudge handed down to them.
Generational.
And then they're having to go to work every day at places that don't appreciate them.
Right.
When they should be at the beach.
Right.
They should be. I mean, and that was something I got to experience as a kid. I got to experience Hawaii. And so, I experienced some negative things, but I also experienced a lot of loving people.
A lot of good people there.
A
yes.
lot of people. So one time when I was in my hometown, I was going to work. And there's these two boys at the bus stop, and they're just kids. They're like 15. I'm like 17. And I get off of my bus stop with another friend of mine, and they asked me what gang I was affiliated with, right? And I'm like, I'm not a gangster, you know. My other buddy was, and he was telling them blah, blah, blah. So they took their focus off of him, and they came at me. And they were going to try to stab me in the street at the bus stop because I wouldn't give them $1. So these two kids were coming at me with mechanical pencils, and I'm like backing up into 3-lane highway, Farrington Highway, and this is like 7:30 a.m. It sucks, dude. I mean, it's not how you should be waking up to your day, right?
Right.
So I'm backing up, looking at, and these kids are wild because they're just gonna run away. They're gonna get away with this, right? Like they're not gonna get caught. I know this. So I'm like, dude, I'm about to get stabbed up. I'm gonna have to just do something like. And there was a guy there who was my neighbor. And he yelled out, "Hey, leave the Holly boy alone." And they turned. See you later.
Yep.
I ain't getting stabbed and murdered in the middle of the road.
Gone.
And so I had some experiences, you know, but I don't think that's any different than somebody wearing a gold chain down in like West Sac or, you know, something like that, where it's just those kids were poor and they were bored.
Yeah.
And I found a target, you know, like that's all it's. You know, it's just human stuff. I don't hold that against anybody.
Exactly.
You know?
It's a good way to live.
Yeah, and so you had a Filipino guy at the bus stop. He's a bodybuilder. The two Samoan kids coming to stab me, and the Filipino guy stands up for me. So, did I experience anything outside of just regular people stuff? No. It's just regular people stuff, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna hold that against anybody, you know.
Right. So how long did you live there in Hawaii?
25 years.
25 years.
Yeah.
So
Born and raised.
did your addiction or alcoholism come about in Hawaii or?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There
What
was
age?
a huge influence of methamphetamines through the late 80s into the 90s.
True that. Yeah.
And everybody and their dad was on it because of all the feelings they had and needed to get a way to escape. You know, but there was already tons of drinking, tons of recreational marijuana use and stuff like that. You know, I mean, the 70s had just gotten over, so there was tons of, you know, residual cocaine and heroin.
Residual, just leftovers. Like, I mean, you are on this big island. Like, there's a lot of stash spots.
Dude, Maui had no customs. They were flying flights straight from Mexico into Maui.
Yeah, just shipments.
No customs.
Really?
It was insane.
Wow.
Yeah, I was
It's
like,
a different time, man.
well, that was in like the late 90s. I was like, are you kidding me?
What?
No dogs?
The late 90s?
Yes. I was there on
I was
Maui.
thinking like, you know,
No.
80s.
No.
What? That's a
Maui
trip.
was full of all that kind of stuff, and Maui still suffers. I have a cousin over there I love, and I spent a year on Maui when I was 19 and met the love of my life there. And we spent 20 years together and then decided to part ways. But man, what a cool deal. And I got my oldest son, like he's half Filipino and half white, and he just gave me my first grandson.
Yeah, you just showed me a picture, man. What a bundle of joy, dude.
Dude, I was not allowed in his life for 5 years.
Your sons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, probably for good reason, right?
Yeah, under the influence, I threatened him because he was sheltering the other boys, and I didn't understand that I was a danger to them. And so I said some things and did some things, and that was a crazy amends.
Yeah,
It was a 5-year amends, and then I got invited to his wedding after I got 5 years sober.
Wow.
4 years sober, and then he moved right down the street, and then they had a grandkid, and I'm like the best grandparent.
Everything just right. You are freaking awesome. I mean, you got the.
You're funny. The kid loves the beard. The little
Yeah,
baby, he's like,
your gray beard. You just did it. You didn't waste no time. I don't know. I wonder if you painted that, bro. That's not a real gray. He's all right. He's just trying to play the image.
I like the orange mustache.
Right. I'm like, Grandpa Ryan, are you serious? Yeah, you just told me that today, and man, dude, congratulations. That's, you know, I know a few people that just became grandparents, and that's such a huge blessing seeing your kids have kids. I don't have any kids yet, but I could just imagine the overwhelming I don't know. I don't even know what the word. How would you describe it?
Well, I wasn't expecting it. Like I didn't know that I would feel the way that I did. But there's this contentedness that just comes over you. Like wow, it's a purposeful feeling. Like oh, okay, cool. I'm here in a whole new mindset to guide another generation. Right.
Yeah.
A lot of people want to spoil them and stuff. I'm looking forward to just being there. Like I get in the playpen with him.
Spending time, yeah.
I get in there.
Jump on in there.
I get in there and I'll sit down and we'll look at his toys and stuff together. And I'll play little games with him, I'll put stuff
That's
in
quality.
his little stuff and let him figure out how to get it. And, I'll just spend time. And my next move with him is I'm going to bust out the ukulele. He loves audio stuff. I'll be like, and he'd be like, what? And so I'm going to see if I can implant that music stuff in him real early.
Yeah, and it just goes to show, like, you were ready to receive these blessings because of where you're at in recovery today.
Absolutely.
If you were back and forth,
No.
bro, for one, your son probably wouldn't want to move down the street from you. He'd probably pick a spot on the other side of town.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But he pretty much chose to live by, supposed to by Grandpa Ryan's. He's freaking crushing it.
Pops. My grandpa name is Pops.
Okay, Pops.
Thanks. Dude, I got a sweater
loves
that
it.
says Pops and everything,
Yeah.
dude. I'm like, yo, what's up?
You're just eating it up.
Dude, cheesing. Sitting there cheesing. Yeah. Love this life, dude. So
Right.
good, man. I don't know why, but my higher power hooked me up. And I just hope I can be as good to my higher power as it has been to me.
Yeah.
It's a relationship.
That's a hard one, right? Trying to match that.
Well, it's just willingness, right?
It's willingness.
That's all it is. You don't need to bring anything except your intention. Like God,
Right,
I want to.
Going back to the woman that gave the 2 pennies, like, Jesus said that she gave her all.
She did.
That rich guy, he gave not even a percentile. That's weak in God's eyes.
And he made sure that everyone knew he gave.
Yeah. The trumpets were sounding. The guards had their clinging armor. Yeah, you're a Pharisee at that point. You're in the middle of the streets, and when you give a fat donation, they sound trumpets and they wear these elaborate robes, and it's just for a show.
They build you a statue.
But here the one, comes into the church, not even noticed, and that's more than the guy with the abundance.
So why
Yeah.
is that the truth? And it's because the stuff in this world is going to pass. Economy is going to change. The money from $1 is not only worth half of that. None of that stuff actually matters.
There's no value in it.
No. So we're going to sit around and struggle and talk about what the nation's doing and what the politicians are doing and what the
Elections.
economy is doing when God doesn't care about anything. How do we treat our neighbors today?
Yeah.
How do we
love your neighbor?
do when somebody asked or when we felt convicted of, hey, maybe we can help. And I'm not talking about gratifying yourself, I hear some people say some stuff and it's goofy. I'm going to call this one out. They'll be like, hey, I put my shopping cart back. I'm be like, dude, I don't really think that qualifies in God's world. Like,
Right.
I guess it's the intention, but I don't really get kudos from my spiritual life on putting shopping carts back.
I mean, my buddy,
My opinion.
right. I mean,
I could be wrong.
My buddy posted, putting his shopping cart back, and he's like, "How you do one thing is how you do everything." And I never
There's value.
Right, and that's I never looked at it that way. Like it is true. It's Jesus does say, "Be faithful in the little."
Integrity.
Right. It is doing the right thing no matter what before God.
Maybe
Like,
I'm still running some of Ryan's game. So
Right.
this is what I do. I'll leave my shopping cart out there, but when I come into the parking lot, I'll go and bring some in. I brought in 2 today.
Yeah, but I only left 1 out. So technically, there's 1 less shopping cart because of Ryan. Right. I mean, mathematically, it makes sense,
I guess I'm still playing the shopping cart game after all.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah, you're going to get hit up in pop by the shop, the cart narc.
Cartnark.
Yeah, have you seen the guy on YouTube?
No.
This guy, I mean,
He just runs up on people.
he runs up on people with the camera and a bulletproof vest or whatever, the camera right here, and he's like, "Yo, put your shopping cart back," and then he throws stuff on their cars. It's this whole spectacle, dude.
Yes.
He
He just wants attention, huh?
You have to check him out though, because you will fall victim to the cart narc.
Not me, dude.
You're too smooth.
I'll be like, my card already went back. No, but so back to recovery.
Right.
There is some integrity to be had there, you know, like how you do that. And if that's where you're starting, nothing wrong with that. I just, you know, I'm still a human being who's going to pick some crap apart.
Right.
Say some smart crap.
Right.
But yeah, man, today I'm blessed beyond measure. And it's not because I'm worthy, you know, it's just because I have a relationship with a higher power. And investing in that is the biggest investment you can make, right?
Yeah, I agree.
So a lot of people go around and they'll get carried off by ideas and thoughts about what's going on with this world, right? And that's important. But Alcoholics Anonymous has taught me the importance of treating people well and of being of service.
Yeah.
I didn't know it, but when I came to Alcoholics Anonymous, it was a really good fit for me because I like to serve. I do. You know, I that happens to be, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but there's some love language stuff out there. And it ended up being one of my love languages was to serve.
Just to serve.
So I was already kind of primed to do this kind of stuff.
Right.
And then I just ended up, I felt very purposeless before I came to recovery. I felt like, why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing? Like, is anybody, you know, I'm always trying to impress people and stuff to try to get myself to feel like, to validate myself.
Yeah.
I will, you know, I'll do extreme things. You know,
Yeah.
I'll jump off a bridge into the water to make you think that maybe I don't have as much fear as I actually do, right? And stuff like this. And I no longer need that validation.
Yeah.
I know that what my purpose is today, when I don't have anything else, I can be helpful, right?
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing, man. It set me on a path that I pop open the book in the morning and I read page 86 and it says, upon awakening, you know, and what it says twice in there is motives. What am I going out the door to do today? You know, am I going out because I need the money? Is that really what's important? Or would the higher power that I serve, does it have all the money already and all I need to do is serve it?
Yeah.
So if I'm serving my higher power, it'll make sure that I have money.
Right.
I don't need to go and get money from it. So what are my motives today? What am I doing? I'm going out and I'm interested in just seeing to the best of my ability every day how I can be helpful.
Yeah, being of service. Yeah.
So, and it's not like going and, you know, doing stuff that's tedious. Today I was of service because before I came to this meeting, I called my buddy and allowed him to participate in the perspective on how this might go.
Yeah.
I called a guy who's got 25 years of sobriety, who was there at the beginning, who I met on the very first day. And I said, hey, dude, this is what I'm interested in doing. And what is your perspective on it?
Yeah.
How may I serve? What do you think?
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, man, you know, and we shared a little bit about that. But that's service. I picked up the phone and I involved somebody in how may I serve now my friend David, right?
Yeah.
And it elevates everyone involved.
Right.
So, you know, as long as I continue to do my recovery and continue to be conscious and continue to dig into these spiritual books, I feel purposeful. You know, today I'm in construction and I dealt with some people that are a little less than godly.
Yes.
And they're God loves them just as much as he loves me.
Came for the sick.
And I don't know if they're sick or not, or if that's just their path, but I know this, that today I was able to see them in another light, no matter what their behavior was.
Yeah.
You know, and say, you have value, even though you've been in pain in my butt all day.
Right. Right. And
For no good reason.
you know, that's one of the hardest things in my walk is praying for people that I do not want to pray for, bro.
You know,
Like, what am I doing praying for this guy right now, God?
he deserves everything he gets.
Exactly. And the more I do it, and the more I'm like obedient to that conviction to pray for this person, and I just through all that I just get major blessing, and it's not even in the form of money. Like,
No.
I've honestly, dude, I've been chasing some material things and this and that, and I've got my hands on some, and I just realized at the bottom of all that, it's like the bottom of a freaking vodka bottle, dude. It's really nothing there,
Empty.
dude. It's empty, man. And now I look for things of true value. Like, how can I be of service? Like, we're doing a homeless outreach on the 18th on Sunday.
Cool.
You know, we're gonna go out, hand some kits out, and you know, lay hands on some homeless and sick, and pray for them, and you know, maybe go from there. Like, maybe probably get someone into a rehab center or whatever it is, man. Like, we can probably, let's say it doesn't amount to anything, bro. Nobody gets touched, and we're just kind of out there in the damp and cold, and we're just like, even then, dude, God sees your heart.
That's it.
And it's that heart of service. Like, I didn't want to do these things before.
Mhm.
I was that guy that needed that at one point.
Yeah.
And I honestly cared less about anybody else in that situation. You know, I like to think that I did, but in all actuality, I didn't. You know, that comes down to that just being self-centeredness, you know, and totally just inward thinking, you know, leading nowhere. But yeah, you know, but Ryan, like, where was the point, you know, like, what brought you to the rooms? Like, what usually, like, for me, it was drug court, you know, usually it's something for someone kind of significant. Just wanted to ask you what brought you to the point where, like, I'm gonna come into the room, or I'm gonna finally do it right this time, you know?
So when I was 27, I ran into a fellow who had a substantial amount of stimulants. And I hit a bottom in Roseville. And I got sick with something called viral meningitis. And what it is a virus. So it's not bacterial, so you can't kill it. Wow. You got to let it run its course. And it eats the lining around your brain, the thing that keeps the separation between your brain and your skull.
Wow.
So I laid down after using for a while and had a headache for about 6 months because my brain was hurting because it was touching my skull because I didn't have no more.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the virus ate that. And that's what it did. So the doctors told me.
Yeah.
Dude, I had a spinal tap during that time.
Oh, wow.
Spinal taps are gnarly. They're going into the most sensitive part of your body, and you can feel like the shape of the needle I remember that. You can feel it in your spinal cord.
Cringy.
So cringy.
My spine
They
is
make you
tingling.
bend so that you're
You open up your...
Yep.
Oh.
And then they go in, and when that needle's there, you know it's there with everything in your mind. It's crazy.
Don't numb it first. There's just nothing they can really do to...
It's the central nervous system.
Oh, my goodness.
It's
Is it painful, or is it just a weird sensation? Like, I'm curious.
You don't want it there. I know that.
Wow.
It was insane. So I was in Roseville at the time, and I laid down, and eventually my mother and my sister got word, and they came out and got me. I'm super grateful to talk about this because I'm at odds with my sister right now. She's done a couple of things that are just insane and hurt a lot of people. So I'm grateful to remember at this time when she was a savior of mine, came to me in my time of need. And she took me to this place that she recently recovered from, or was admitted to and recovered from her own addiction, called Hinamauka. Hinamauka is a rehabilitation center on the windward side of Oahu.
Ooh.
Took me a while to get a bed. It's a simple place. It was cool. It was at the bottom of a green mountain.
What?
Dude, it was so cool.
Majestic.
So cool. And chickens running everywhere.
Yeah.
The windows are open all the time. Tons of local people. And, I went back there. They gave me a bus pass. It was super cool. Hawaii was so nice to me, dude.
Yeah.
And they were like, here's a bus pass. Here's a little bit of money for rent. You know, Here's some medical insurance, you know.
They
And
set you up.
they gave me a little bit of money for food, and I went to this place, Hinamalka. Well, in Hinamalka, they had meetings in the facility itself, and over there in Hawaii, it's super cool, dude. So like, if you have a home group, they'll be like, there's a little catchphrase, right? So like, Hinamalka's was Hinamalka's my super home group, and then everybody in the meeting goes super.
Super.
It's so much fun, dude. And so like, they have another meeting called It Shows. And so when people do their birthdays, they'll be like, I got 1 day. And everybody goes, it shows.
It shows kind of jokingly.
Or I got 30 days or, 30 years. It
Yeah,
shows.
yeah, it
They
really
all
shows.
Clown, right? It's super funny because there's a unity, right? And you
Yeah.
might be embarrassed for a second,
Yeah.
but then you're going to say it shows to somebody else.
Yeah, overwhelmed.
And then,
yeah.
and then you kind of realize, wait a minute, it's a show. Anyway, so I went and got sober at Hinamalka, and those people got me to AA meetings.
Yeah.
And I showed up with a composition book and a pencil, and I was going to learn this class and move on with my life, and
yeah.
I'm going to learn
Get
all
what you
this
need
stuff,
and-
get an A, and I'm out of here, right?
It's not that easy.
No, I got 2 A's, AA. And I'm still in class.
That's a good way of putting it. I got
I'm
2
ready
A's.
to freaking graduate. Jeez.
Yeah.
I mean, remember Keith used to say, it's just these simple books.
Yeah.
Dude. He's like, how dumb do you have to be? It's just 2 books.
Right.
And then
We're still here talking about it.
I love that guy, dude. He was funny. And
Yeah. Rest in peace, Keith.
yeah, and so I came to AA through Hinamalka, and they took us all over the island, and we did different meetings, and then I went into this Oxford men's house over there, and dude, it was so cool.
Yeah.
They had a pool. It was awesome. It was right on Kaneohe Bay. It was Downho's mom's house.
Downho's mom's house.
Do you know who Downho is?
No.
Tiny Bubbles.
No, Tiny Bo.
He's an old Hawaii entertainer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So in Hawaii, when you're one of them,
Yeah.
they represent for you. They're like, Don Ho was like the king,
Right.
And so this is his mom's house.
What?
And it had all the frills from, whenever his mom, whatever time that was, probably 60s or something. But man, the guys there were cool. And we had house meetings and we had all kinds of adventures and stuff.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, I moved from Waikiki after my parents split into the rural parts of Hawaii, right?
Yeah.
And one of the houses that we ended up living next to, there was a group of kids that had an alcoholic dad there, and he was also a coke fiend. And he used to beat the crap out of these kids, dude. His oldest son's name was Mylan, and he would whistle for Mylan. And if Mylan didn't come running, he would get pounded.
Wow.
He'd run like a dog, dude.
Oh, my goodness.
So, ironically, I go to this Oxford's men's house. Mylan's there. He's, he was always like a super nice, cool guy. He was the oldest kid of like three guys or something like that, 3 other kids, and just super nice and gentle. And he's there, dude. And he's same guy that I remember from when I was 8 years old, dude.
Wow.
27 years old.
Meek and gentle.
We're in the same house again. We ended up in the same spot.
Wow.
How does that happen?
I don't believe in coincidences, honestly.
So yeah,
I don't. That's
I used
awesome.
to fool around with his little sister.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we were both like 7 or something. Like not a whole lot of fooling around going on.
Right.
But we had these little crushes and stuff. And one day I remember Mylan rolls up and he's like, "Hey, what was her name?" She's like, "She's out in the car. You want to see her?" I'm like, "No, I'm good," because we used to be naughty little kids, And I'll be like, "No, I don't think I'm ready to face that." Yeah, I'm not ready. Can't remember what her name was, but she was a cute little girl.
That's funny.
Anyway, so yeah, I got introduced through Hinamalka, and I'm still. What happened after Hinamalka was I was in there for 9 months, and I got really lonely, and so I figured it was time to head back home to Roseville. And as soon as I got back to Roseville, bag in a bottle.
Yeah.
9
quick.
months of recovery didn't matter. So Hinamalka couldn't be there for me.
No.
You know, all the buddies are like, yeah, make sure and call us and all this stuff, right? And all that unity and everything and all the love, right? I'm back to working at the AM/PM on Sawtell or Junction over there in Roseville. Yeah, I'm back to working at that. And dude, the kids need stuff, and I'm working on stuff with her, you know, my ex, and things are, you know, it's time for a bag and a bottle again, dude.
Yeah.
And I relapsed. So I ended up rolling over to Roseville Fifth Street.
Oh.
And over there I got sober in that rowdy spot. And I still serve there today. I still go back there.
I've been to one of those, yeah.
Yeah, and I love it because it is rowdy. It's straight.
Some hardcores in there, yeah.
Yeah, there's all
People
kinds.
take sobriety serious, though. Like,
There's
they're
some, yeah.
die-hard sobriety addicts, you know what I mean? Like,
There's people walking in on fentanyl, and there's people walking in with God. You never know who's walking through
What
the
you
door.
got, yeah.
But there's going to be an opportunity to serve,
yeah.
you know, and there's always something that he's doing around there, you know.
Those are the best places to be.
You know,
Places where you can be of service.
Yeah,
You know?
I live down from a much cleaner Alana club. Live down the street from a much cleaner Alana club,
Yeah.
and people there are surprised when a drunk person comes through. They're like, "Oh, that dude's still drunk." But we're at Fifth Street, like,
It's just
"Well,
another.
that dude's not drunk."
It's more of a surprise. Hold on, this guy's not drunk right now.
What? You're not drinking today? You know, it's exactly.
Yeah, it's
an
crazy the
eclipse.
different like settings and crowds. Like, you know, we mentioned the candlelight, like just completely different worlds, but the same program. You
Same
know,
program.
yeah,
Yeah,
people getting sober.
there's a lot of good stuff here in Sacramento for us.
Yeah, we're
there-
actually like a sobriety hub.
Hub.
Yeah,
Dude.
there's a lot going down in Sac.
We got a thick schedule.
Yeah, and there's not a time where you can't jump in a meeting.
Not really. I mean, unless it's even at
3
2
a.m.?
Yeah, 3 a.m. You could still do a Zoom.
Really,
Dude,
Zoom meeting.
I got a buddy. He said he got a freaking sponsor in New Zealand. I don't know what kind of accountability he has going on, but that's cool.
Zoom. I mean, that's kind of where the future is leading. You
Yeah, I
know,
wanna
Zoom calls and online coaching. You know,
I
sobriety
want to see what
coaching.
the sober girls are like in
Yeah,
New Zealand.
yeah. A lot of guys, you know, you're probably one of them or were one of them at one time. You know, you go into the rooms and you want to meet. Oh, what are the girls like in this area?
Yeah, totally, man. I mean, a lot of girls. That there is no wrong way to come to sobriety. It is what it is, right? And they talk about like this gal from way back in the day in like the very first group, right? And she's a hoe, dude. But she brought a lot of people to AA.
Wow.
So she had some serious defects, and they tried to kick her out,
Yeah.
and they couldn't because of our tradition.
Sleeping with everybody.
Yeah, she had some behavior, and she helped a lot of people get sober.
Right.
You know, and so we don't get to judge.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, okay. So you come there with the wrong reason, but God's still there.
Yeah.
So God can do anything.
Right.
And
I mean,
it's-
he spoke through a donkey. You know what I mean? Like,
That's right, he did.
He did, and you know, and sometimes I'm that ass, bro. That and I'm like, what? You're using me.
That's a
to
good
sp-
analogy. Yeah,
You're using me to speak.
that's a great analogy.
Right. You know, and it's you know, before I step into meetings now, I really go through like a heart check. Like, why am I really here?
Motives.
Why am I here?
What
Because
am I doing?
sometimes I check myself. I'm like, dude, I'm here to possibly run into a female. Ryan, right? I mean, that's just how it is. You know, first of all, I mean, we're men, and then we're addicts. You know, and we got, like you said, the character defects just freaking still hinder us in some way or another
Oh yeah.
today.
Well,
You know?
and we were. I'm under the influence of an idea that we were born codependent on something, right? And what we don't know is that it's our higher power.
Right.
So we fill it in with all these other things, right? So we're lonely. So we see people that are attractive. We want to get close to them, and you know, one thing leads to another. You know, and that's just some of the stuff that happens. However, there's a lot of healthy stuff that happens also. So we don't
Yeah.
want to make it one way,
Right.
but that hole is, if you're not filling it with God, you're going to fill it with something.
Yeah, there's that God-sized hole can only be filled by God, and you know, and that's honestly what gives me a lot of gratitude in recovery. It's like I don't know if I'd be this close to God if I didn't go through my addiction. I don't
Mhm.
know. Maybe I'd be closer, but I don't know. I wouldn't even want to take the risk of not you. What if I lived this regular life and I, became successful realtor or whatever, and just God's just psh. Yeah, I knew about God as a kid, blah blah blah, but he who is forgiven much loves much.
Mm.
You love how much you are forgiven.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm not saying to those who are just been saints their whole lives, go out and sin so that you can love more.
It is a
and be
confusing thing, isn't it?
It is a confusing thing.
I totally
but
get it.
you got to look at it face value. You know what I mean? Because and I have cousins and stuff, and they're saints. They've one of my cousins, super smart gal, and she married a really not a real good gentleman and lives a really good life. But I was talking to her brother, and he straight up told me, like, you don't know what she's been through.
That's true.
You don't know how much temptations she had in high school. She's a beautiful young blonde girl, and she kept herself pure until marriage.
Isn't that amazing?
Bro, that's where value is at in women nowadays. And I'm not knocking
It's
any
always
women.
been like that.
Right. I mean,
But
probably
it's especially
right.
rare nowadays.
Today's,
as
yeah.
far as in my realm, there might be a place where that's something that's common, but in Sacramento, I don't run into too many of those kind of people.
It's rare, bro. And my standards are so high today with women that I never get laid. Not that I'm even looking to, or I never even hook up, because, bro, if in and out of relationship, that's a turnoff. Oh, it didn't work.
Freaking work,
Bro, it didn't work out. It didn't work 3 times for you this year. You have 3 different boyfriends. It didn't like value just plummeted. It did, and I'm not judging, but I'm looking
being
because
true to yourself.
right. The thing is with me, man, I love too hard, bro. So it says guard your heart for a reason, because once I give my heart to a female, dude, there's not much I wouldn't do for that female. You know what I mean? My love dies hard too. If I get done wrong by her, or it just ends up not working out, dude, it dies hard, bro.
Sounds like you're very aware of what the risk is and what's at stake.
Right.
So you don't make those, you don't throw your chips out there
Right.
carelessly.
And I haven't been in a relationship in 4 years, and that's by choice. And anytime I do talk with the female and stuff, I bring it before God. And I'm like, God is first. That's like the main thing I do is bring it before God. I'm like, God, if it's not it, just oust it out.
Wow.
And either I would say something or she would say something, and it just kind of just complete block. Like, boop, okay, we're not talking no more. And
That's okay.
it's okay. I'm honestly content where I'm at, and the fact that I've been able to overcome like real big sins like masturbation and pornography, like, that has been a big one for me. Like,
That's God in your life.
that's God in my life. And I mentioned this in the episode, like, I was able to get over those sins because I stopped looking inwardly, like, I need to change this or I need to do that. And I literally just focused on God. It's not to say that I don't slip up or mess up. I'm freaking imperfect, dude. But I'm walking.
But it was a milestone.
Right.
It was something significant that showed that you were connected to your higher
100%.
power.
And the spirituality that comes in after I was able to do so, and it's not even that. Like, my gold chains are not around my neck.
Mm-hmm.
I don't wear gold rings no more. Like, I used to like to be all flashy, and I don't wear the best clothing that I have. I actually gave a lot of my best clothing away.
And you're attributing this to your spiritual life?
Yeah, 100%. I give 100%. I can't not give all credit to God. There's a lot of people that get triggered by that in the rooms. Like, hey, dang, you did a lot of work yourself, which, yeah, faith without works is dead. You have to put in the work. But it's the power outside of me that really helped me, dude. Like, my way always led me down just the stupidity, dude.
I got a friend that we really enjoy each other. And I've told her, I said, hey, listen, I want you to know that when you see the best of me is when I am aligned with my higher power.
Yeah.
When I am not aligned, I'm looking for stuff that's selfish, or I'm looking for stuff that's going to be self-serving, you will see desperation, grasping. You'll see you'll see neediness, you'll see anxiety, you'll see all these other things
All the
that
wrong.
are me without my higher power. Because I am built, I'm a machine that needs a spirit in order to function. Otherwise, I go back into machine mode, and all it knows is basic stuff, right?
Yeah.
And when I'm lit up with my higher power, I'm now on another level where I'm like, okay, cool. This stuff isn't that important. What's important is, being what I can be above that,
Right.
So she really appreciates getting inspired by my constant striving to remain in touch with my higher power, but it's not me. The thing that is lovable about me today is the fact that I want to be the best me through the expression of my higher power through me, right?
Yeah.
That's what, and that's why it gives me a lot of humility to understand that, it's okay to be inadequate.
Mm.
In
okay,
weakness,
yeah.
I will show you the power, right?
Yep. Yeah.
In weakness, I will be strong.
King David.
Let me be weak.
Mm-hmm.
Then if that allows you in, right? So I no longer am embarrassed about my weaknesses. I just understand that, you know what? I'm out of alignment.
Mm-hmm.
What can God show me what it is that I need to do to get back in alignment?
Right.
Some of the stuff that he shows me to do that back in alignment, like the 4th step, I don't want to do.
I dodged that step, bro. A lot of people dodge the 4th step.
Everybody,
bro.
and the 8th and 9th, because it requires you to do
Put in
something
work.
that's outside of what your ego wants you to do.
Right. And I'd say, the amount of work that goes into those steps, man, is
It's a lot.
there's writing involved. There's talking with a sponsor or someone else about
Taking
things
time.
that you do not want to talk about.
No, the bodies are buried. Why are
Bro.
we digging them up?
Freaking buried deep, bro. I dump my bodies in a deep pit.
I'm not gonna go get them back and show
and then
you.
gotta, pretty much, bro. And bring it to the light. And that's where things get exposed.
Yeah.
It's through that vulnerability. And that's why I like that, the candlelight meeting is the vulnerability and just being honest with yourself. There's just things getting exposed left and right. Bam, bam, bam. And I'm just receiving and giving and serving. And it's just awesome.
So check this out. I was in a meditation meeting not too long ago. They shut the lights down, and I have these are common experiences in those kind of meetings. So I'm sitting there. We go into meditation. They shut the lights down a little bit, right? And I'm talking about what happened to me in my meditation, and it's goofy, right? Like it's not like home. It's like Step Brothers, and the scenes in Step Brothers is coming into my mind, right? And I'm like, what? You have to call me Nighthawk, right? All this crap, right?
Goofy, yeah.
I'm like, what kind of meditation is this?
What's going
right?
on? Yeah.
And I'm like, what the? So then we're sitting all in this meditation meeting, and this lady says, I had this thing where I'm still grieving for my ex that died, blah, 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 right? And I'm like, yeah, mine's not as deep as that. Mine's like, I got this one-liner from Step Brothers and I blurted out, right?
Oh, my
and
goodness.
she's like, oh my God.
Like he said
he
that.
would say that all the time, right? I'm like, I must have just been the open door that he's like, hey, why don't you say this? So she knows that she's not alone.
Yeah.
And stuff like that happens all the time in Alcoholics Anonymous.
Right.
Because the temperate, what you're coming in there to do
Yeah.
is so in line with what God's
God's
wanted
love.
us to do from the beginning. There was a quote from Tolstoy that I read this morning, which was our real purpose is to serve humanity, right? And that's what we're all doing here. And so going to those places, being willing, being an open door, allowing, even though we might criticize ourselves, that's our real purpose, is to be an expression of God to the best of our ability every day. Check our motives. Why are we doing this? All right, we want to be in service, and stuff like that. And that is a great platform to go to over and over and over, especially when life is challenging, and say, hey, how can I serve? Right? And abandon your problems for somebody else's and find your problems just work out on their own.
Right.
You're not even needed in your problems.
No.
You just leave them alone.
Yeah.
You know.
That's the best way to do it. I've left a lot, and I feel like a dirtbag for it sometimes. Some of the things I just dump off on the God, but that's honestly his job, bro. Because he knows what to do with it. He into the deepest part of the ocean, he never thinks about it again. As should we.
Yeah.
We should take example of that, because the amount of time, dude, if I can just tell you the amount of time, or if I had a number of the amount of time I spent on just the most negative crap. And even today, like I still, sometimes I get like some fear creeping in. Like somebody from my past is looking for me and I did this person wrong and blah, blah, blah. And maybe it is true. I don't know. But the best part is like when I read through Psalms, like David they set some traps for that guy.
Oh, dude.
And what he would pray is, if someone's coming at me physically or spiritually, ask that they fall into their own trap. Not only do I get to just veer around it, David would say, but if they're coming at me like that, dude, let them fall into their own demise, because that's kind of just how the things, like you said, we reap what you sow, or Jesus said, that's true.
Yeah.
You're going to reap destruction and hatred and try to instill fear into somebody. You're going to sow it, dog.
So then
100%.
There's this prayer in the big book called the Angry Man Prayer. And it says, God, save me from being angry.
Yeah.
And it promotes us being compassionate to those who are suffering still. It says right before that perhaps other people are spiritually sick also, right? And we see that all over the world, Why do people do the extreme things that they do today? Because they're out of alignment, right? And they just deserve our compassion. That's what we're supposed to be providing as people who understand the truth, right? Whether they fall into their traps or not, I don't give a really. I'm not really interested in that.
Yeah.
What I'm interested in is, where are my traps that I'm going to fall into because I'm looking at theirs.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Distracted.
Like, yeah, because I know that I'm not perfect, and I know for sure that I'm judging, and that I need to get as far away from that as possible. And the easiest way for me to realize that I'm having problems is when I have a problem with somebody else.
Right.
That's when I know.
Like, why are you even having that issue?
Exactly, because if we're aligned, we don't really care.
Things in the dark get exposed really quick when you're aligned. You know, you got to stay tapped in, because without that alignment, without that light, bro, you feed into it, bro. You
sucked in.
You know, my Blaine did a episode. I think respond, don't react. I think that's the name of the episode. A lot of time we're just freaking reacting to stuff.
Yep.
Instead of just like, I'm gonna respond to this, and with the most godliness and the most uprightness, you know what I mean, to the best of my ability, and I've been making strides, and I'm walking, I'm trying to walk righteously before God, and sometimes I get this pride again creeping in, thinking that I'm better or whatever. And a scripture that comes to mind when I do think that I'm being righteous or whatever, like me, is our righteousness, the best parts of us. It says this, I think, in Isaiah. It's like filthy rags to God.
Right.
And and this is kind of disgusting, but the direct translation to filthy rags is what women would wipe themselves with when they're going through their period. That's the best part of you. So if you ain't walking with God's righteousness or the righteousness of Christ, it's literally dirty in God's eyes. And that humbles me to a point where, like, you know what? I need to just stop. I need to stop right in my tracks. I need to reevaluate myself and come at it with the right heart. Because, you gotta really be careful how you're serving too. A lot of people in the rooms, they're just serving just to be that bam, bam. They're doing ego-based, dude. They're running meetings and this and that. And, I mean, we don't know their hearts entirely, but you can kind of know them by their fruits, bro.
Exactly.
What fruits do they bear? You know what I mean? How do they come at things? And we're not here obviously to judge or to speculate. Like,
Once again, they're just showing us ourselves.
And that's a wonderful thing. But you know, they're in the room sick as everyone else is, man.
They give us lots of opportunities to pray, lots of opportunities to realize what it is for us, right?
Opportunity.
And you said something a couple points back about I've lost the train of thought, but it was something that was super important for us to realize. The dirty rags thing kind of came into it. Oh yeah, this is what it was. It says in the book, when two or more of us are gathered, right?
Yep.
Dude, alignment all the way with sponsorship. Because I'm like, dude, she's wrong. She's blah, blah, blah. Relationship's a big deal to alcoholics.
Yeah.
Everyone, actually. But, you know, I can't see my unrighteousness. I can see yours.
Yeah.
So we hire these people or volunteer them to look at us.
Yeah.
And God works through them. They're called sponsors. And these sponsors they're supposed to say, yeah, I know you think you're right, but here's where you're dirty.
Yeah.
Just like Isaiah was saying, right? Like,
right.
no, we believe our own righteousness and we'll throw it out there. But when you really look at it, what's that all about? It's just more dirtiness, right?
Yeah.
You want to look good and you want to feel safe in being right and all this stuff, right? So I desperately need to remember that I need to bring my ideas before other people so that they can point out where the flaws are in it, you know? Because I go around thinking I'm doing good and that I'm helping people out. And then I find out, once again, there's some superficiality to it. You know, and it happens over and over and over. Kind of goes back to the beginning of this conversation where I'm like, I'm finding out over and over and over that I'm wrong. And it's like one of the best things that have happened to me.
Yeah.
To be able to, for one, admit it, for two, live with it, and for three, to get over it.
Right.
And move on.
And repent.
And continue to be wrong.
You just be wrong again.
You know what?
Yeah.
And sometimes that's what's necessary in order for that growth, right? So that pride doesn't come up.
Right. And it's just, you know, progress, not perfection, dog.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen you make strides and you know, extreme amounts of progress.
Likewise.
And yeah, you know, and it shows in our lives today. Like, and again, we're not perfect.
Nah.
Filthy rags. Filthy rags, bro.
Yes.
I'm still thinking, like,
I could tell you right now where I've missed the mark.
Oh, 100%. And you know, I lied about a few things the other day to some people close to me, and right out, like, it hit me like a knife in my soul as soon as I made that lie.
So why did you lie? It was because you were misaligned in some moment, right? Because when you're safe with God, you don't need to do that.
And you know, the situation that it came down to like greed. I wanted to hold on to this thing, and is that company issued? No, it's not company issued. It's mine. But I lied.
And today it's okay because you get to go and look and be like, you know what, dude, you see what it is. It's that driving greed again.
Well,
and you know, I actually, if I have a moment to kind of to springboard off of that into something else, I would like to.
Yeah.
All right, so. There's this book called, is it okay if I bring out a book?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, it's called Spiritual Recovery. The guy's name is Grant R. Schnarr. Schnarly. Schnarly, dude. What this guy did is he took this book and offered it to people who don't have drug addictions, who don't overeat, to people who have character flaws, like getting impatient with their kids and stuff like that. And he built the 12-step recovery thing for spirituality. Yeah. And what he says is one of my favorite things that the reason why I'm bringing this up is he says that if we leave the trap door open for like greed, then lust, pride, and all the other envy, jealousy
from greed
will be let in. Yeah. So we can't be vigilant. Just like, you know, today I did pretty good on my lust, like I was you know, I didn't behave on some of my thoughts or whatever, right? Yeah. We need to be asking God for help in all of these areas all the time, you know. And he has some great examples of how you can work recovery for those who are interested in 12-step programs who don't have
drug problem,
obvious
yeah,
issues,
right?
but they have emotional issues and spiritual misalignments. So I wanted to bring this out tonight. It was something that was on my heart,
Yeah.
and it's a Christian-based book.
Okay.
And so if you're a Christian, and or if you're whatever, this guy's somebody that I found speak to me about how I work my AA program. But more than that, I took it to a deeper level,
Yeah.
because it's not just about not drinking; it's about how I'm treating other people.
Right.
How am I going around in my life? Am I
About your
actually, And you nailed it earlier. It was this thing where you were talking about, you recognized one of the 7 deadly sins,
Yeah.
and it was greed.
Greed.
Greed swept you right out from under God's grace, right?
Yeah.
And it's the most natural thing
Yeah.
to want to hold on to stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
And-
It is.
And
Like,
in
I don't want to
fact,
lose that.
It's promoted, right?
Yeah.
Like, get yours or somebody else is going to get it.
Yeah. But you know what I did though? I literally I repented of that. You know, I plan on making amends to the person that I lied to, and I wrote the company name on the box.
There it is.
You know, and it's not always like, okay, you know, you're gonna miss the mark. It's just how you react to missing the mark.
That's true.
You know, I heard a good pastor say, like, if you're truly walking, no real believer or someone that follows Christ can just be successfully in sin. If you're successfully in sin and you don't get conviction, you might not even be a child of God. Like, that conviction should overwhelm you, is what the point is.
Dude, I have
To where you grieve pretty much.
I have this great analogy when I want to listen to what you're saying though. Go
No,
ahead.
yeah, go ahead. No, you're good.
Okay, so
Yeah.
this guy said to another guy once when they were doing their recovery, I listened to this online, and what it was that he said, "Hey, if you were out there still doing all those things that are here on your 5th step, then and you're okay with those things, then that's who you really are.
Yeah.
But if you're not okay with all those things that you did, that's not who you are.
Right.
And we need to move away from that old who that was to who you want to become.
It's a good way to sink it in.
That's what you experienced.
Right.
Yeah.
You
so
know, I'm not that person anymore. And when I do become that person, I need to turn away.
and it's not who you are.
It's not my
Otherwise, you're
identity.
okay with what you're doing.
It's like, oh, do.
Yeah, and it's just like I don't know who feels that way, but apparently there's some people out there who are just okay with, hurting others and taking it. I don't know if that's true or not, but for me, I can't live that way
No.
because I am like you. I'm sensitive. I'm a soul.
Yeah.
That stuff affects me, and I end up having behavior around it.
Right. And that, that it's how we respond, like we talked about. This is, if you respond in the lightness and you're just kind of okay with it, you need to really evaluate yourself. You need to really look deep and tap in with God and realign. Because, like slowly but surely, I'm okay with listening to some rap music or just, and just slow. How would the devil or what, how would my flesh or my desires get me nowadays, or the enemy? It's just from a slow veering off, dude, because I'm so aligned. And for if I just do a quick hard left, like I'm right back in. But that slow veering off, man, so deadly and freaking sneaky. Like to the point where by the time I notice, I'm off the road and I'm just like, and
You wake up in some.
what
happened?
I'm headed towards a telephone pole. For real. Easy as that, man. And it's just kind of how it is as an addict. Like, you really gotta stay in that lane, bro.
Thank you for saying that, because it brought to light some areas that, between what I said about the book and what you're saying about the gradual, letting stuff in. That's another good reason why we should have a sponsor. They know our behavior. They understand where we're weakest. We've done some step work with them, so they know what our defects are. And they also know our assets. Right? I just went through this thing called Back to Basics. Loved it. Anything that people are good at, you always go back to the basics. So if you're a basketball player, you don't run out and just start doing dunks the whole time. You start off the game doing layups. You start off, and I'm talking about guys that get paid millions of dollars. They're doing what they do at the elementary school. They just start off with layups, just warming up, just getting in the groove, right? So this thing called Back to Basics is kind of that for your recovery process. And one thing it did, it had these boxes in the fourth step instead of this big gnarly story of all the naughty things Ryan's done. It was these just basic things like, okay, do you have a resentment with your mother, your father, brother, sister? Easy ones, right? Do you have resentment with politicians? Do you have a resentment with IRS, the government, the police, right? And then you check all these different boxes, and according to how many you check, it'll tell you like, oh, you have strengths here and weaknesses here, right? It was super healthy. Really enjoyed it. It really gave me another a whole new connection to Bill's story too.
Yeah.
It was cool, dude.
Different perspective, different angle.
Yeah, on the
And
same thing.
I see you, like you're doing a lot of things for your recovery today.
Mhm.
I don't know if you want to take a moment to talk about some of those things, but like hot yoga is one of them. You said you
Love me
you
some
feel
yoga.
amazing, like
Dude,
right? Like
I come out of there feeling like I just smoked a joint, and I didn't do
right, you're
anything
sober as-
unhealthy.
there's ways to get high sober.
Oh, I feel great right now.
Right,
You know what I mean? Just
yeah.
being in this room with you and talking about all the stuff that creates love and positivity in our lives makes me feel uplifted.
Right, it's that real dopamine hit too.
Yeah.
It's not the fake one, man. Like it's long lasting. It's natural. It's the real way to live.
So what happened to me is once I had to do about 5 fourth steps to get like the big chunks off, dude. I was so delusional when I got to Alcoholics Anonymous. I can't even see where I'm wrong. I could hurt people and not even know that I'm wrong about it, right? So I had to have a lot of experiences and layer by layer get it stripped away and have an awakening real slow. My awakening was really slow.
Yeah.
And so as I'm having that experience, as I'm getting all this stuff off of me, I start carrying, I'm not in love with Ryan yet, but I start caring about myself. Like I start thinking like, hey, your life isn't yours. Like it belongs to everyone involved in your life. Like when you go and you do these things, your children suffer, right?
Right.
Then I started thinking like, wow, what has my mom been going through all these years?
Yeah.
You know? And then I start thinking, well, if I'm valuable to these people, maybe I am valuable. Maybe not to me yet, and that's okay, but I'm valuable, right? So maybe I should take care of my health. Maybe I should care about how long I'm going to be here.
Yeah.
Stuff that never mattered to me before because, and with fentanyl out on the street and everything now, it's true. One relapse, dude, you're done.
I'm done.
So
Yeah.
if I don't stay close to, it's really made it a do or die thing
Right.
to where, you don't know when you go back out if that will be the last time your loved ones will ever see you alive, right?
So true.
So now I'm starting to care about my health. I'm starting to care about my mind. I have a future. I've never really had a future. I've had potential, but I've never had a future.
Yeah.
And now I have a future. I have grandkids that are going to want to know who the heck I am,
Yeah.
and they're going to watch my behavior, and they're going to emulate my behavior.
Yeah.
So who am I, right? And I start finding out who this person Ryan is.
Oh.
That's what the beard's all about.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I saw one of my kids, dude. He looks so cool with his beard on. I'm like, is that who I am? He looks so cool, dude. He's so handsome, right? So I'm like, I'm gonna grow a beard too. Shit. So I started growing my beard. I'm like, wow, okay, cool. Like, dude, what is that? Who is this guy? And I started exploring who the heck is Ryan? Because all these people like this guy. And I'm not comfortable with him. Why, right? And it was all that stuff that I did. Betrayed my own self with. Because I thought maybe that would make me who I want to be.
Yeah.
And I found out that it just drove me further and further from the person that God loves, right?
Yeah.
And today I'm closer to that person than ever before. And I'm starting to become softer and softer to the people around me. I'm starting to write stories. I'm learning Spanish. I'm in
Wow.
yoga. I have my passport.
What?
I'm ready to go international, baby.
Yeah, let's go hit an AA meeting in Bangkok.
What's up? Belgium, what are we doing?
Yeah,
I don't
Sweden.
know. I never thought of Bangkok. I bet those stories are pretty wild.
Yeah.
But I've seen a couple of hangover movies. Those guys will probably be there. Anyways, dude, I'm really starting to invest my time and energy, my attention.
Yeah.
Attention is
Attention.
valuable.
Yeah, what you're paying attention to.
God wants your attention. If
Yeah.
anything else, He doesn't give a crap because time doesn't mean anything to Him. Nope.
He's got all of it.
Material things don't mean anything to Him.
Nothing.
What He wants is your attention. You know, and if you're just giving Him attention on your way to work behind the wheel of the car, I don't know what kind of relationship that is.
No.
God wants a relationship deeper than you have with your mother, with your sister, with your spouse,
And
and He deserves it too. So now I'm starting to turn my attention on to like, wow, what is this life that God gave me, and how can I honor it? You know,
yeah.
and I'm doing it by like trying to be more mindful about what I eat. Hey, Friday night I'm gonna have some ice cream. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not eating lettuce every freaking day.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm going to start caring about what I put in this temple, the place that God operates through me, right?
Yeah.
And that's what sobriety has come to after quite a few fourth steps. I'm
Right.
starting to appreciate this life.
Yeah.
You know, I'm starting to appreciate the people around me and them caring about me when I didn't care about myself.
Right.
And the people in AA who decided to invest their time and energy and hope that I would stay sober, right?
Yeah.
So that's what this future is built on, is all those hopes and dreams and all the love that those people knew I deserved in the past that I couldn't accept because I didn't understand
Right.
why I didn't deserve it, really, because I knew what I had done, right?
Right. No, that's all good stuff, man. I
Mhm.
mean, I got a fat smile on my face because, you know, we've seen each other at some pretty bad, dark moments, and we're starting to find out who we are and our identity that resides in God or in Christ. That's the main thing. Like it's finding out what your purpose is in life. People go their whole lives without ever even scratching the surface on their purpose. And we are actually experiencing these things, and it's through recovery.
It is.
It's through the 12-step program. It's through the spiritual awakenings. Like, this is tangible. We're not delusional. We're not delusional, dude. The lie is dead. The lie is dead.
Yes.
We actually can recover from that diseased trance.
What a beautiful time to be alive.
It's a possible thing.
What a beautiful time to be alive. This was not available 100 years ago.
Oh my goodness. Could you imagine? They
I don't
didn't
want
have
to.
that.
They would just lock him up.
Right. Oh, that guy's a drunkard.
Lock
He's
his ass
sick.
up. He's just going to go around and make trouble.
That's it.
Give him pills.
Chop his hands off. For real. Like, the punishments were severe for people like us back in the day. We are blessed to live in this time. That is a good point you brought up
It's
there.
very
Like,
blessed. Dude, people would get pissed and then they would act out on us because we would piss them off so bad.
Right.
And I mean, we're still out there today, alcoholics, doing that kind of stuff, killing families and drunk driving accidents and stuff. Stuff that people would drive people to do the things they did to us in the past.
yeah.
Because it was disgusting what alcoholics are capable of when they're drinking.
It's kind of deserved.
Almost, right?
Bro.
And so there was these repercussions and people were not compassionate about it.
No.
Today we have a place where there's full of recovery homes and these people are, getting information all the time, and there's this big thing where it's promoted to be compassionate.
Right. In this dark and wicked world, we need to use and literally make best of the things that are good, because they're honestly kind of in the broad, like, there's a lot of places for us to get better and do good, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not that much.
No.
It's very little.
Yeah.
There's more. We can go do more wicked or evil than we can do good right now, bro.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot more opportunity for those who are just not good people.
Or desperate, or under the influence of the.
There's more liquor stores and bars than there is AA
Oh,
meetings,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Or churches.
And that all comes from misalignment.
Yeah.
You know, it talks about
Again,
it.
yeah.
And you know, there's a lot of good people out there. Bro, I heard a really inspired story. This kid, he's my buddy's son, you know, and he wrapped his. I don't think he was under the influence or anything. Just came over a turn and wrapped his car around a tree. Right. All of a sudden, this guy's not at work anymore. He's one of my brothers. And the outreach from regular people who are still under the influence and stuff was amazing. These people got him a hotel room, you know, brought Christmas to his family while his son is recovering. He's in the ICU. I'm telling you, David, do not believe that this world is like fallen and no good and dark. There's so much good here.
And that's
because I'm here and so are you.
Right. I've been honestly paying a lot more attention to the good in the world.
There is some stuff out there that's scary and it's easier to see, but I'm telling you, man, these people, there was no hesitation. They inspired me, and I'm in a realm of service, so that the next time that I had the opportunity to reach out, and it was a matter of my resources versus somebody else getting what they needed, I easily dipped into what I had to go get it to them. I was inspired by them, and they had nothing to do with the recovery process. Right. They were that was who they are, dude.
Regular people.
Yeah. And the next day, they go back to being who they are. They're imperfect, but that was what was in their heart. When it comes down to it, I see our nation, I see people in general reaching deep to who they really are.
And it's honestly stories like this that just give me hope, dude. Like I'm tingling right now. I got goosebumps, bro, from what you just said, because you know, it's so easy to pay attention to the negative, man, and to see where things are going, and we just miss the mark of all the goodness in the world, bro.
Yeah. So this guy took, and this is what he does every Christmas. He makes a Christmas float.
A Christmas float.
Yeah, and he goes to poor neighborhoods, and his whole family gets dressed up in costumes, and they bring stuff to people who don't have, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm not talking about canned food. They bring them, you know, presents,
wholesome stuff. Yeah,
presents and joy mostly is what they're bringing them.
That's a big one.
Okay,
yeah.
So this guy, I don't know him. I know his son. His son is, 20-something years old, and he's still doing this with his family. He's dressing up as some entity for Christmas, and he's doing this thing because it touches him, right? And they're regular guys. They go to Twin Peaks, and they go to freaking, they get wasted all the time on weekends and all this stuff. But they still do this stuff, right? And they're not alcoholics. They're just regular old people. And so this guy has a daughter. The father of the kid whose son wrapped his car around a telephone pole. He also has a daughter, and she's stuck in this nightmare.
Oh wow!
Right, in this hotel room with her parents and the brothers. I mean,
she's just taking it all in. Yeah.
And so they pull up with their float, and they light this little girl's world up. Right. Craziest thing.
Wow.
I end up meeting this guy.
Wow.
I'm in my plumbing truck, sitting at a warehouse, having a crappy time. The service, I've been there for 2 hours.
Right.
The guy comes out, and he's like a warehouse sales guy, right? Mm-hmm. And he goes, "Hey, what's going on?" And I said, "Oh, I'm from Local 447 and all this stuff." And he goes, "Oh, my son is." I said, "Really?" I said, "Your son's in?" He goes, "Yeah, he's so-and-so." I said, "Wait a minute. You're the guy who puts on the Christmas float?" We're not talking about some wealthy guy. What? We're not talking about this guy that's got more than enough.
Yeah.
This family is a blue-collar family.
Hardworking.
That just loves to do it because it's what's in them to do. So let us not give up on the world yet and say that, God works through everyone, whatever their problems is. And I got to witness inspiration from people who don't even know anything about recovery.
Yeah.
They're just being inspired by that fulfillment that is God
Yeah.
without ever saying the G word.
Yeah.
They just do it because they know that's what fills that hole.
Yeah, I mean, it does say in scripture, God just writes it on the tablet of your heart. You know what I mean? Like, I do believe that there's tribes out there and stuff in the far ends of the world that don't know Jesus necessarily, like as the name, or don't know all the biblical principles and the teachings, but it's on their heart, and they live really good lives, and they help each other, and they're of service to each other, and they're just all around good people.
Community.
You know what I mean? There's just those people that are just freaking good. And they're far, I mean, obviously it tends to be far and few between, but they're there, and we're here.
We are.
And I get to, I'm in a position today where my cup overflows, man. And sometimes I just allow it to either just completely overflow, or I just knock it over into the community, man. I pour my heart out, bro, through prayer, through meditation, through being of service. Like, you gotta allow these things and allow God to replenish you by filling and watering other people and giving other people hope. You are yourself is replenished.
Yeah. So I'm kind of getting ready to wrap up.
Yeah.
And
it's getting cold.
I'm getting cold, but
my feet are cold.
I wanted to pay adage to a couple of stories that I know that I've heard from recovery.
Yeah.
That help me to remember what the most important thing is. And this is not my story. It's actually a Buddhist story.
Oh, yeah.
You ready for a Buddhist story? Is that okay?
Lay it out. Yeah, sure.
Okay. So this is I don't know who originally told it, but one of the things that the Buddhists believe, and I think this is appropriate for what we just talked about, is to know that we don't know. So basically, lack of judgment. Jesus Christ talked about it. Do not judge. You will be measured in the way that you judge. Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the Buddhists have been talking about this for a long time. Jesus has been talking about it. So why do we go around today and say, well, this is right, and this is who I want in office? That person over there is a bum.
Like we know,
right?
Yeah.
And this is how the story goes. So a long time ago, when the world was a lot simpler place, there was a farmer, and he was of humble origin, and he served on a land, and he farmed the land, and he was very poor. He didn't own the tools he farmed with. He didn't own the shack he lived in. And when he did harvest, he had to give a lot of the harvest to the person who owned the land, the landlord, right? And what he had was his one son, part of his life, and he had a horse. And that was his whole estate. That's everything he had, okay? So he's out one day, and but the one thing that he did have that might have been more valuable than anything else is he knew for sure that he didn't know. He knew for sure that when things came along, he couldn't judge them, okay? So one day, him and his son get up, and they wake up, and they find out the horse's pen has been left wide open. And their whole estate, everything that they own, has run off into the distance, right? They've lost the one thing, the horse. Yeah. How are they going to plow? How are they going to do their work? Who's going to carry the veggies to the market, right?
Right.
And the village finds out, and they go, man, what a bummer. Aren't you down? And he's like, yeah, I have a feeling, but and they go, this is bad. And he goes, I don't know if it's bad. And I'm like, what, are you retarded? Excuse me. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, it's bad.
It's bad.
You should be panicking.
Yeah, like somebody just stole your car.
Right.
Right? Like, this is bad, right? And he goes, yeah, well, I know I feel bad, but I don't know if it's bad, right? Kind of closes out that little section of interaction with the villagers, and they go back to business, and they're just coping. They're going along. And the weirdest thing, man, they're in their garden, and they're farming, and they hear this noise, and it's thundering, right? Thundering, they hear this thing, right? And they look back, and the boy runs over to the pen where the horse was, and he opens the gate. And here comes the horse with a whole herd of wild horses behind him, and they just run right into the pen following that horse that got away.
Yeah, just made themselves, or
The boy just throws the gate closed
huge
behind
blessing.
him.
Yeah,
Horses were the currency of that day.
yeah, became rich. Yeah,
The
just
village
like that.
is amazed. They have this celebration, right? Like, oh my goodness, you're the richest man in the valley. This is outrageously. How could anyone ever perceive that this would happen? This is awesome, right? This is awesome. This is great. He goes, man, I feel great, but I don't know that this is good, right? So the story continues, and he goes on. You got to get these horses ready for market. And what you got to do is you got to break them. You got to tame them. You got to get them ready so people can use them.
A lot of work. Yeah,
A lot of work. So he's working long hours, him and the boy. And one day the boy is getting on this really especially wild horse, and it throws him, and he mangles him really bad, breaks his leg.
yeah.
And the village finds out, and
This is bad.
this is bad,
Yeah,
really bad. And he goes, yeah, I feel terrible, but I don't know if this is bad. And they're like, what's wrong with you? How cold? This is your son. How can you say this isn't bad? This is terrible. He's going to be like this for the rest of his life. There's no healing, right? And he goes, yeah, I feel terrible, but I can't tell you if this is bad or not.
I don't know.
A month later, the Chinese army comes through the village to collect up all the young men,
Recruiting. Yeah,
to put all the young men on the front line in a battle they won't survive because they're unskilled.
right.
They're just need
They're
bodies,
just gonna die. Yeah,
and they can't take the boy because of the broken leg.
yeah.
And the old man knew, in where he was, that he knew the most important thing. Maybe something we could all learn from him that we don't know.
We don't.
We can accumulate all the information, but there's the God factor.
Yeah, I mean that sounded like the guy had a lot of faith.
He knew the one thing that was most important that I don't know. That when I'm going down the road and somebody cuts me off, maybe I should realize that I don't know what's going on in that car.
Yeah,
And maybe when I see that homeless person, if I feel the conviction to give him something, great. But I know God's working in his life too. I'm not the only one, right? And I mean, we should all give each other a little more of a break.
right.
Let's give breaks to each other
Exactly.
because we don't know.
A little bit of grace
Absolutely.
spread some
Grace is
grace.
a good word for that.
and some love.
Yeah, man. I love you.
Hey, brother. Great sit down, recovery addicts.
Recovery addicts.
Maybe we'll do this again.
Absolutely.
If you're up to the call, you came out, man, and
Yeah.
I totally appreciate it, man. You've been someone that I've looked up to in recovery, and I just wanted to say thank you because you are a huge part of my recovery
Yeah.
before and today.
You help me grow all the time. So appreciate the interaction, and I appreciate the friendship.
Great.
And there's a lot of gratitude in between. So
Good stuff, brother.
love you, man.
Let's go.
Victorious we became, but never forgot where we came from. Life or death, not a game. We came to change the lane. Recovery addicts, that's the name. Give yourself a break, just one day at a time. You were born to shine, so live and let love be forever. My sister, my brother, don't give in. Please remember, the lie is dead. We do recover. Welcome home.